Hello, my name's Jalise. Welcome out, everybody, to my V Wars TV series review. Here's the thing, everybody. This show is about Ian Somerhalder. He's back as a vampire. He's back on television. He's not back as a vampire, but he's back on a vampire TV show. He's back on television, and here he is again. So, what is this show about, V Wars? Well, V Wars is basically about how Ian Somerhalder's character goes to basically Antarctica. They find something in the ice. Him and his best friend Michael. They both go there, but they both get infected. One of them's immune, one of them is not. And this show takes a very realistic approach of how people will deal with pandemic and all that stuff, and infections and all that shit. But then the show had only lasted 10 episodes, one season. It was canceled. It aired in December and it was canceled in March and all that stuff. Like right before COVID hit. Go figure, biological warfare too. What I get what the show was trying to do, trying to show a realistic approach to how vampirism it could be infected also, but then they went to the stereotypical route, oh, the government's evil and all that stuff, and then they went to they're gonna start shooting people that are not that basically infected, that they don't care and all that stuff. It kind of went over the top. They had some political messages that wasn't needed. I enjoyed a little bit of the show, but it was downright predictable. When you had the first episode, and when both one of them's infected and one of them's not, it takes like 4 episodes, and they're just hunting down the guy who is infected and all that stuff. And it went from a slow pace, then it went to where some people are infected, and they already have an organization called the Blood Nation and all that stuff. So it's just so he went from 4 episodes to hunting the guy that's actually infected to creating a new vampire species, not vampire species, but a new community of vampires, and they're calling them Blood Nation and all that shit. So it's just it just took an off turn. 5 episodes, again, you're hunting the guy. Then in an episode, he has a thing called the Blood Nation. He has a group of vampires and all that stuff. He's organizing and all that stuff. He's doing political messages and all that stuff. This was, you know how always those low-budget sci-fi shows that never really get a chance to show the true progression? This is how it was. And I was not surprised this show was canceled. This wasn't a great show. This wasn't even a good show, in my opinion. This was just I mean, I enjoy Ian Somerhalder. There's a lot of great actors on this show. But the problem is, the script is, to me, bland. It's the most stereotypical bullshit alive. I mean, why is it called V Wars? Well, one of his best friend, Michael, he created the Blood Nation and all that stuff, and he's like, oh, we ain't gonna touch kids and all that stuff, we're gonna have our own rules and all that shit. And then you have Ian Somerhalder's character who's trying to find a cure for his best friend and all that stuff, dealing with a lot of baggage issues and all that shit. But to me, I didn't really care for a lot of scenes. A lot of side characters are in this show are killed off very quickly, and there's no point to even have some of these scenes. I don't like development of certain characters just so you could kill them off. And it's not because they thought the show was going to be canceled, because they had no idea the show was going to be canceled. How they ended off on this show didn't seem like they were going to get canceled at all. So when they made these decisions to kill certain characters at the beginning of the first 5-6 episodes, you knew there was a problem. Because I do not like that. Why introduce characters and get them a little story and get them a little motivations and all this stuff and tell them about backstory about their family and whatnot just to kill them off right away? It just was, to me, pathetic. It was not really needed. And overall, I didn't really care for this show for that. I mean, again, the pacing was off. They had one episode with Laura Vanderbilt, who I love as an actress, and she was just she was resisting becoming a vampire and all that stuff. She basically killed other vampires and all that shit. And I was more interested in her storyline than the entire storyline of freaking Luther Michael and all that stuff. But either way, with her character, she has this one thing where the cops come to her door, and this female police officer was overly flirtatious, and then she's banging her in the next 30 minutes. And next 2 episodes, they really have a connection. And then she's like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, it's like they rush certain things that shouldn't be rushed. Like romances, no matter what, should be taken time with, not because first episode you see a person, you did with them, and then next 2 episodes you're like, why didn't you tell me? I'm like, how many fucking weeks has passed? And this stuff, is it months, weeks? I don't know, because how these scenes are, I'm just like, what? We'll have 5 episodes of pacing that's going day to day, and then we're jumping from like a day to like a month, a week. I don't know because they don't tell you the timetable for this stuff. You got Michael running through the woods and all that stuff. He has maybe 2 vampires in his group. Then next, there's a whole bunch of people. Then they have different clans and different people they speak for. But I'm like, when is this organization started? Did we just skip something in season 1 of the Birth of the Species and we went to season 2 immediately to the organization of it? Then it went to 3, the political aspect. I mean, what had happened? There was just too much jumping around. A lot of characters that were in the show was not needed, that they killed off, that took a lot of time. And to me, this show was a piss poor attempt of a vampire show to show realistic stands on the vampire shows. This, to me, was a failure of a TV show. V-Wars, to me, is one of the most skippable, wasteful Netflix shows I have seen. It was definitely was not needed, and the end result, I was not looking forward to a season 2, and I just figured out that it was canceled like in March, and I'm late as hell to the party of the show, so I'm like, okay, remove from list, because there's no point to watch V-Wars. V-Wars, again, you got the evil government. They're like, oh, we don't want the cure for everybody and all that stuff. Then you got certain people in the government that want the cure, there's some people against it. It's just like, oh, are we really going through this old political thing? You know what I would like? An old vampire show that's in the, like, 1400s. Like, one of those old shits. Like, kind of like, give some, like, Bram Stoker's Dracula shit right there. I'm going to be watching Nosferatu soon, but V-Wars, very skippable show. Don't see it. A lot of good actors, but the script is horrible. The plot line is what it is, but there's no how's it not continuality. There's no consistency with its timelines, with its plot. There's just a lot of inconsistency with these, not with the story itself, just with the timeline itself. Again, you don't go from a drag on for 5 episodes, the guy's infected and you're trying to find him, then he has a vampire blood nation, he has organization, then there's turn clans of vampires. I'm like, when did we just went past everything? To me, V-Wars was a skippable show. What'd y'all think of V-Wars, everybody? Do you think it was a good show? Do you think it was a great show? Do you think it should not have been canceled? Let me know what y'all think, everyone. Do you think I'm missing the bar? Let me know. My name's Lee Scarford, everybody. Bye-bye.